Good morning, period 3 and 5. Here is Mr. Enoch with our daily update video. If you want the schedule, you can look in the update section. I'm going to go over the directions for today as well as review character a little bit and then go over expectations for what you should be completing and then how I have been giving feedback. I want to give you an update on that. Before I get started, please remember if you have work to complete, you can go back and do any missing assignments. If you have any questions about your grade, feel free to reach out to me on Schoology. We can discuss things. Um, that being said, let's get started. So please click on the enrichment folder. We are now on day 3. Remember, you can always go back and do day 1 and day 2. It might take me a little bit longer to go and give you feedback on those, but you can always go back and do them on your own time. So day 3, I'm actually excited for this one. There's some creative ways for you to show your understanding. Let's take a look at the directions to start. So the first thing I want you to do today is read for 30 minutes. You can read longer. I would suggest you read longer if you have the time. And then I need you to read and review the character worksheet. I'm going to go over that with you here in this video. Then you need to post a discussion board. Doesn't have to be a certain length. Just give me a sense of the character you are reading about. And then finally, you're going to complete and submit one of the following enrichment activities. I'm going to go over those at the end. So here is the character worksheet. So, ladies and gentlemen, character is something we dealt with for most of our literature stories. So what is a character? Character is an individual in the story. The story can be focused less on the action and more on the characters that perform the action or how they are affected by that action. And by learning to analyze and understand characters, we can better understand all of the other elements of the story as well as the author's overall message. So 2 different types of characters. We're going to go a lot of different elements of character here. There's a central character, so one of the characters the story focuses on, and there's secondary characters, a character who does not receive most of the attention. So if you think last year to The Most Dangerous Game, our central characters were Rainsford and Zoroff, and a secondary character was Zoroff's servant Ivan. So if you remember those characters, you can kind of think about it that way. Another way to look at it is the protagonist and the antagonist. The protagonist is one of the leading figures in a story who often champions a cause or works to solve the main conflict in the story. A protagonist can be a person, an animal, supernatural object, etc. Antagonist is the opposite. If you look at these prefixes here, we have pro, which means for or in a positive way, and then anta, which is anti or against. We have the antagonist here, a character who comes into conflict with the protagonist. He or she prevents the problem from being solved. So we think back to The Most Dangerous Game. We have Rainsford is our protagonist. General Zoroff is our antagonist. He is the one who prevents Rainsford from escaping, or tries to at least, and he is antagonizing him the whole time. One note, lots of people think that the protagonist is a good guy and the antagonist is the bad guy, but these characters are often more complex than just good versus bad. These characters are ways for the author to explore the complexity of a conflict and ways for the readers to discuss and analyze the story. So if you guys think to the play we've been reading, Julius Caesar, Brutus would be considered our protagonist. I wouldn't necessarily call Brutus a good guy because, spoiler, he will stab his friend, but he's the protagonist because he is the character who's trying to solve the problem in the story. He's the one we are following in the story. But I wouldn't go as far as to say he's the good guy in the story, because when you get into complex stories, and you guys probably watch TV shows, movies like this, the idea of good and bad is a little bit more gray than maybe in something like a story like The Most Dangerous Game. So a few other elements, we have the shape of the characters, either flat characters, which are a few details about their beliefs, feelings, behaviors, or round characters, individuals with a lot of depth and detail. They're more like real people. So for instance, going back to our Most Dangerous Game examples, Ivan is a flat character. We really don't know much about him, his beliefs, or behaviors. We just know he follows orders from Zoroff. Whereas Rainsford and Zoroff are both round characters. We know that they have a lot of experience with hunting. We know Rainsford feels very strongly about not killing people and hunting people. Zarl feels very strongly the opposite way. We know a lot about their beliefs. And then a stock character, that's the same type of character seen many times. Also kind of a stereotypical character. On the other side of the thing here is how characters change throughout the story. So a dynamic character is one who changes during the course of the story. Changes can be physical, emotional, spiritual. So we think back to Rainsford. While we don't know the extent of his change, we do know that he definitely understands how it feels to be hunted by the end of the Most Dangerous Game. Versus static characters, they do not change by the end of the story. They remain the same. They don't learn anything. They don't grow at all. So here are some examples from some things you guys may remember. So in To Kill a Mockingbird, the main character is Scout. So most of the story is about her and what she thinks and feels. However, you could argue that her father, Atticus, is the protagonist. He's the one the readers root for in the conflict in the story. He's the one who solves that main conflict during the trial. So he could be argued as the protagonist. If you're familiar with The Wizard of Oz and all the various spin-offs, the Wicked Witch in the original movie is a flat character. We don't know much about her. We don't know why she's evil. However, if you're familiar, there is a novel and a musical called Wicked. There, the author and the writers actually turn her into a round character. They give her a background. They reveal why she turned evil and kind of fill in some of her character traits. In the story Peter Pan, Wendy is a dynamic character and Peter is a static character. Peter doesn't want to grow up. He wants to stay in Neverland. So finally, our character discussion. Please name and briefly describe one of the characters in your piece. Are they round, flat? Are they static, dynamic? What's going on with them? And then finally, the character enrichment. This one I'm excited for because you have some opportunity to be a little more creative today. So the first one is a character poem. So you could choose a main character from your book and write a poem from their perspective. So what are they experiencing in the book and how might they feel about it? How might they express that through words? Try to capture the character's voice and feelings in your poem. 2, a character comparison. So you could identify a character in another work. That could be a book, TV series, a movie. Really open up to what you think of as a character. And that shares similarities to the main character in your independent reading book. So write a 2-paragraph, compare, contrast these 2 characters. First paragraph should contain the similarities in personality, actions, and appearance. And the second should describe the differences between personality, actions, and appearance of these 2 characters. And then the last one, the character poster. Please create a character poster by hand or using a digital tool. On your poster, include the name of the character, an illustration, 2 quotes that reveal the traits of your character, and a short written description of the character, kind of connecting in how those quotes, what personality traits they show about this person. Please submit an image of your creation to the Dropbox. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to see the work you guys produced today. Thank you for watching the video. And if you have any questions, always please feel free to reach out to me over Schoology. Have a good day, everybody.